Now with more on the creator economy, Dude Perfect, the popular sports YouTube group known for their impressive tricks and all those impressive trick shot videos, announcing a significant partnership today. They're receiving an investment ranging from $100 to $300 million. It's a lot of money.
Dude Perfect received $100 million in cash. Now, why would seasoned investors place $100 million in perfectly good cash in 5 guys that make silly videos?
I clearly remember being a year or two into this whole journey, and I remember being at a restaurant with my family, and I remember like trying to make eye contact with this middle school kid and like looking for validation of if he looked me in the eye and recognized me from being in these new Dude Perfect YouTube videos, that was gonna be like a pat on the back for me that what we were doing was meaningful. That to me was like a low point when I remember like snapping out of it and being like, oh man, like that's not a healthy place to be, is needing that validation to feel like I was where God wanted me to be.
You live for their acceptance, you die for the rejection. I think if you live for everyone to love you, as soon as they don't, you're gonna feel like you have no purpose and no worth. As soon as no one is paying attention to you anymore, what's your purpose for living?
2009, we are juniors at Texas A&M. We're all roommates. Tyler and Garrett are messing around in the backyard. Ty has just bet Garrett a Jimmy John's sandwich that if he made a hook shot from behind the tree, he gets free lunch. And right before I got home, he nailed it. So they decided to get the camera out to film it to show us when we got back.
Still don't know why we decided to ever film it.
Basketball goal was $80. I remember the price because I was like, man, it's kind of steep.
We were just having fun.
It's just a chimney ball.
What did you just hit?
That was how it all started. We loaded it to YouTube, which at the time was legitimately cat videos. It was no one's full-time job. Not like a business game plan, just a way of sharing a video.
I thought it was a one and done. Let's just make the trick shot.
Yes! Yes!
Upload it, see what people think, laugh about it, and move on. And then it just caught fire.
The next morning, my brother's phone rings at 5:30 in the morning, which I'm shocked he even answered. But he picked up and it was Good Morning America. And they said they'd seen the video and they wanted to play it that morning.
These amazing shots, they are really mouth-dropping shots, but are they real? Are they fake? We have computer analysts looking at them.
So we watched it on TV and we thought that was the end of all of this. So we made another video. They just kept growing. And someone's texting me, it's on Sports Illustrated. And I Googled it. The views skyrocketed more from it being on a website of Sports Illustrated than they did on TV. So once it started hitting some of the blogs, that's when it really started to pick up traction, that very first video. The spike from that video was nothing compared to a few videos later. Again, just for fun, we were having fun, people were watching them. It wasn't crazy numbers of people.
Obviously just for fun, but we put a little bit of time into it so we want people to see it.
GMC reached out. They said, hey, we've seen the trick shots. If y'all had like a bigger budget, are there any ideas you would love to do? And we were like, well, I mean, we're just making it up. We'd love to do a shot out of an airplane. They said, love that idea. If you can make it, we'll put it in a TV commercial during the NBA Finals and the World Cup. We're like, that'd be awesome.
This is the airplane shot.
They never say never. Neither do we.
We walk inside the tent and everybody starts clapping as soon as we walk in, and we're like, oh my gosh, this is for us. We're just these college kids. From there was when we felt like, okay, we have a real chance to do stuff that we can actually get paid for.
Yeah!
So we graduated from A&M, and there were, companies reaching out like GMC had done, looking for different opportunities to feature whatever they were doing. But with 5 guys, we were barely making ends meet. A couple of the guys got married. We all started new jobs.
We were just in different stages of life at the time.
A year or two out of school, having done Dude Perfect on the side for a while, I don't think we can do both. My brother and I were driving the 4 hours up from Austin to Dallas every single weekend. The other guys were working their jobs during the week and then filming on the weekend. It was just a lot.
That time of any was the most stressful. While they're eating, breathing, drinking, dude perfect, we're trying to balance that with also real jobs, also with new families.
We were exhausted. They were exhausted. Their wives were exhausted.
We were about to just pack it up and be done.
And we got to a breaking point where Ty's boss specifically said, hey, if you miss another Saturday to go do Dude Perfect, you're done.
You got to remember, back then, being a YouTuber, making a career out of it was unheard of.
We came together and we're like, hey, if we don't give this a shot now, then there's no chance we'll ever do it in the future.
We basically looked at the bank statement.
We kind of crunched some numbers and said, I think we can pay for food for the next year.
We looked at each other and we were like, let's just do this.
Nobody wanted to be the first one to quit.
Everybody's like, well, are you gonna quit? Yeah, I'll quit. Well, are you gonna quit? Yeah, no, definitely. And then it's like, nobody was really making any moves.
One by one, each guy officially quit, convinced their father-in-law that it was a smart idea.
Imagine telling your father-in-law you're gonna do YouTube as a job with a wife that's his daughter.
Looking back at those really early days, I don't even know how I explained it to people. I remember telling people I'm a YouTuber. Now I tell people that we make family-friendly content, and we're striving to be the most trusted entertainment on earth. That's the mission at DP, is to be the most trusted entertainment on earth. I do not think we were thinking about it in that big of a lens for the first 10 years. The business piece for us has definitely grown over the last 15 years. It's morphed, it's changed the whole time. Started out with just the 5 of us. Each of us had a job and a responsibility. My brother did all the editing. Me and Cody did all the filming. Tyler was all the creative ideas. Garrett was helping on the finances. We've been very involved, and as we've grown, we've slowly handed off responsibilities to the team. And so it is kind of insane how much goes on behind the scenes. We have really tried hard to make stuff that we have fun making and watching, but that young kids can actually enjoy. And I think that is what families have told us is like, man, that is what is so great about Dude Perfect. My littlest kid has fun with it, and my oldest kid's still excited to watch it.
That's all that we all watch. Yes, that's an always show.
It's honestly, it's so bizarre what's happened that we feel even more confident that God's hand has been on it.
Faith is really the underlying principle and theme behind everything Dude Perfect does.
I think it's easy for people to see all the wins, on the YouTube channel and feel like everything's gravy. There's definitely been a lot of challenges along the way. You're just measured against whatever you just did. We have 15 years now of a high bar of entertainment, and if the next video isn't as good as the last one, it's hard to feel like you lived up to it. I'm not really sure how you manage that emotion apart from Christ. I think the only reason I'm okay with it being compared to that last thing is because I know that's not my actual identity. If that was my actual identity, then I can see why people completely melt down.
If we lost everything tomorrow, doesn't matter. We know that the most important thing we have is Jesus.
I think the tendency with anything in entertainment is just to see it all up and to the right and everything's going perfect. It's just roses. And I think the truth is we've had a really bumpy road. People just don't see the hard times. I had to skip my wife's brother's wedding because we had a tour show, and we argued about that for a really long time. There's a lot of things we wish we would have done differently, but we've seen that God can teach you a lot through those. And I don't think there's another way to learn most of those lessons other than through the failures that are part of it. We say that the 5 of us we're closer than friends, we're more like brothers.
Dude Perfect is the 5 of us. It's like a family. I mean, it really is. We're brothers and been together for 12 years in real life, 10 years as a business.
I think it's probably even closer than that. It's more like a marriage. Anybody who's married knows that you have to keep short accounts. If you let the frustrations pile up over time, then that can end up being all that you see. And so obviously, biblically, we're called to do that. It's also a smart move business-wise, because ultimately our friendship is the business in this case. It'll only be as healthy as the 5 of us are. It's no secret that it's not really recommended to start a business with friends or family. We feel very confident. God is the only reason we've gotten through that piece of it. Our shared faith is the backbone of why we've been able to manage conflict and get to the other side of some really tough conversations and conflict. And internally, we've termed it sorting yourself. I step over the line saying something in a group setting that I shouldn't have.
Go in.
That's it.
Great.
No matter how competitive it gets, though, everybody always ends up having fun after some time to cool down.
We will come back to each other later, and I'm like, hey man, I'm gonna sword myself for that. Like, I didn't handle that well. I want you to know I realize I didn't handle that well. Will you forgive me for that? And I think that's been really big, is keeping short accounts, and especially amongst guys, admitting when you came up short and that you don't want that to be what defines us. Psalms 86:11 says, give me an undivided heart that I may fear your name. And that was one that has always been like front of mind for me. Like, no matter what you're chasing or whatever somebody would pat you on the back from, or a hard day, you know, in an ideal world, it's let your heart be undivided towards me, and you know, I'll show you what's next. I'll say this, because I grew up in the church, this is very personal to me in terms of ministry does not have to be just in vocational ministry. For 30 years, my parents were in ministry, vocational ministry, and so I always assumed to do something that honors God, you have to be in vocational ministry. And I think I just assumed I would do something in actual ministry. That was all that I'd seen. To me, that was the only way you could do something that mattered, and I feel strongly that God has used Dude Perfect, which is a business, for his glory in a way that if I had gone and done vocational ministry, I don't think would have happened. So it's been really cool to watch him do that. 50 years from now, I hope that Dude Perfect is still an encouragement to families. I don't know exactly what it'll look like. You know, we're working really hard to hopefully turn it from just the 5 of us making some goofy videos to something that'll be a lasting, you know, way for families to flourish. We hope that it's a lasting family brand that is an encouragement day in and day out. And, you know, I don't know if it's possible, but that's the journey we're on right now, is continue to do what we can to serve families in that way.